We're here on a compliance hearing following an order to participate. Mr. Alvey's with us for the department. Ms. Lucero is with us representing the child. Mr. Adams is with us representing the father, Mr. Odell, who is not with us. Mr. Adams, were you expecting your client?
Yes, I talked to him yesterday or day before, and he said that he would be here.
All right, I'll watch the waiting room. Mr. Pirtle is just now joining us. He represents the mother, Miss Fisher, who is not with us. All right, Mr. Pirtle's now with us. Mr. Pirtle, your client's not in the waiting room. Were you expecting her?
Judge, I don't know if she's going to join us or not. I haven't. Haven't received a message from her, but we did inform her of this.
Okay. All right. That's everyone. No one in the waiting room. This case was set for 9 o'clock. It's now 9:05. We will proceed in both parents' absence. Mr. Alvey, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would call Ms. Rachel Baca, family-based service specialist working with the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services.
Yes.
In that capacity, are you familiar with Carrie Fisher and Cameron Odell?
Chrissy Fisher?
Excuse me. Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yes, I am.
And they were ordered to work services and a service plan was developed. Are they working their services?
They just told me yesterday that they got in contact with Antonio Christy said she got in contact with Antonio with Padre, and that she's going to be starting that program. She didn't know when, and I haven't had a chance to speak to Mr. Graves. And then Cameron said that he was going to start with daily recovery, but I didn't get a date for that either for his assessment.
Have either parent worked any services to this point?
They have been working family-centered treatment with Karen Biter. So they have been doing that successfully. Other than that, they have not started any other services.
You mentioned Padre for Ms. Fisher and
Daily recovery.
family recovery for Mr. Odell. Are there any other services that have been ordered to be worked that either one of them has not started?
They are both supposed to get a mental health assessment completed. Miss Fisher told me yesterday that she did get a hold of a doctor. She didn't know the doctor's full name. She just said Holly at a family clinic in Amarillo. She said that she was prescribed a medication by that doctor that is not working for her. And that's it. I don't have any other information other than that. And this was just given to me yesterday.
And has Mr. Odell got any services that he has not started that he's supposed to be started?
Let me interrupt for just a second. For the record, Mr. Odell has joined us, so he's in the hearing. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Ms. Baca. You can answer his question.
It's okay. It's the same. He's ordered to do the same things as Miss Fisher. So parenting classes, substance abuse classes, family-centered treatment, mental health assessment, and then follow any recommendations from there.
First of all, have you been able to observe cash in the home?
I'm sorry?
Have you been able to observe Cash, the child?
Yes, I have.
And do you have any concerns about Cash at this time?
Cash himself, I believe he's doing well. He had his last doctor's appointment February 21st, and he had a well check and immunizations updated. We currently had a situation yesterday and last night. There seems to be tension in the home and conflict between Mr. Odell's family and Miss Fisher. And that has caused problems within the home. And so as of last night, paternal grandmother left me a message stating that Chrissy had left the home and is not allowed to return. So I have not gotten any updates since then. We are planning on updating a safety plan to have visitation at the CPS office for Ms. Fisher. And we are also asking both parents to drug test today.
Other than the drug screens and the updated safety plan, are there any additional services that you're asking the court to order today?
Just the same services that are in the family plan.
So you're asking that the court continue the current orders with the order that both parents drug screen today?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pirtle.
All right, thank you, Judge. Ms. Baca, do you know a current address for my client?
As far as I know, until last night, they were staying with paternal grandparents.
So both parents are no longer in the grandparents' home.
I am not aware. The FIS, Karen Bider, she did tell me that they both left the home. And paternal grandmother told me that Chrissy left the home. So I have not spoken to, this was just last night. I have not spoken to either Mr. Odell or Miss Fisher.
All right, I pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Adams.
Ms. Baca, when was the last time that you talked to Mr. Odell?
Yesterday.
Okay. And he had started, what did you testify that he was actually doing in the services?
So he's doing family center treatment with Karen Bider, and he said that he is going to be starting daily recovery, but he hadn't started as of yesterday, is my understanding.
Okay. Did he state anything about attempting to contact them or when he could start?
He did not give me a date for his evaluation.
And you're asking that he drug test today?
Yes, sir.
Are the parenting classes through a specific provider?
So Padre offers parenting and substance abuse, and that is what Ms. Fisher is going to do. So I talked to Mr. Odell about doing that yesterday because it is done virtually, so he doesn't have to come to Amarillo to get it done. But he said that because of his work schedule, he's not going to be able to do that. So he's going to choose to do daily recovery for substance abuse treatment and then online parenting class.
Okay. Has he been cooperative when you've talked to him?
Yes, he has. He has.
And he apparently wants to get services started so that he can get through this program. Is that safe to say?
Hopefully. Yes.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Lucero?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Baca, as far as the situation last night there at the paternal grandparents, are there any concerns for the care of Cash, or is it just, from what you understand, just tensions between paternal grandparents and Miss Fisher?
Yes, just the adults. No
The
concerns
adults. Okay.
for Cash's care.
Okay. All right. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Right. Ms. Baca, Cash had withdrawal symptoms from drugs at birth. Is he over all that?
Yes, sir.
No,
He's
no
doing
problems. Okay.
No,
All right.
no.
Okay. All right then. And then I noted that mother tested positive for benzoyl and something else that I can't pronounce. And she said that it was due to over-counter medications. From the report I read, either St. Francis U or someone from either St. Francis or the department checked with the lab that does the testing, and they said that was impossible. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. All right then. Anyone have anything further for Ms. Bacchus?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Mr. Alvey, anything further from the department?
Your Honor, I have Ms. Bider present, but at this point in time, I don't anticipate that she will add anything that is necessary, but I would ask that you give me an opportunity if some other evidence presents itself.
Sure, okay. All right. Mr. Pirtle, did you have any witnesses?
No, Judge.
Mr. Adams?
Yes, I'd like to call Cameron Odell.
Okay, Mr. Adams.
Mr. Odell, did you hear the testimony about there being a situation last night with at your parents' house?
You said the testimony?
Yeah, there was some testimony that there was an incident and that at least the mother left the house. Is that correct?
Yeah, we actually both left the house.
Okay, but you left cash at the house with the grandparents?
Yeah.
Okay. And are you willing to work the services that have been ordered?
Yeah, I've already got all my paperwork. I got orientation with daily recovery in Amarillo this
Okay,
week.
when do you have that scheduled?
I think it's Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay. Have you done a mental health assessment?
I've not done a mental health assessment, but I'm looking into getting a doctor and psychiatrist.
You're planning to get that scheduled?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you able to take a drug screen today?
Yeah.
Okay, no further
Mr. Odell,
questions.
excuse me, Mr. Adams. You need to answer yes or no. Yeah, that's hard for a court reporter to know what you're saying. So
Okay, I'm
answer
sorry.
would be yes or no.
All right.
Mr. Odell, are you so you're willing to do all the services that the Department of has asked you to do, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, no further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Alvey, any questions?
Just one area, Your Honor. Mr. Odell, are you currently in Pampa?
Yes.
Okay, so you could go to Next Step to do your drug screen.
You said what?
You can go to Next Step to do your drug screen.
Next
It's-
step? I usually
it's
go to
actually-
Prestige.
It's not next step, Mr. Alvey.
Oh, I
Right.
apologize.
Ms. Baca, it's where now?
It's prestige drug screening.
Is that where he took his first drug screen?
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Odell, you can go back to the same place today and drug test again, or correct?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then, Mr. Odell, is Miss Fisher, are you and Miss Fisher together so that you can communicate with her today?
Yeah.
I'll pass witness, Your Honor.
Is she there with you, Mr. Odell?
I'm sorry, what?
Is she there with you? You keep looking to your left when you
Yeah,
were
she's
asked.
over here.
Okay,
she's
well, why
over
didn't she speak up and tell us she's in the hearing? Well, never mind. You don't have to answer for her.
Well, no, the only reason
Doesn't matter. Does not
she's
matter
on-
to me. It does not matter to me.
she's on the meeting.
All right. Anyone else have questions for Mr. Odell?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Lucero, did you have any witnesses?
Your Honor, I don't have any witnesses.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Pirtle, now that you know your client's there, that she didn't bother to even tell you, do you need to call her as a witness?
Yes, Your Honor, please.
Mr. Odell, put her in front of the camera, please.
Okay. Now, Ms. Fisher, did you hear everything that was talked about today?
Honestly, it's really loud in here, so not exactly.
Okay. I think the judge is asking you all to do some services. Are you willing to do those services?
Yes, of course.
Okay. If the judge, I think the judge is asking you to take a drug test today. Can you do that too?
Yes.
Okay. If you would, when you get a chance, would you call my office and give me your current address and phone number?
I don't have a current address right now. I'm moving in today to a new home. Can I just make something clear real quick? Am I allowed to do that?
You can answer questions that your lawyer asks you.
Okay,
Okay.
cool.
Yeah, your lawyer.
Okay, so, Ms. Fisher, you've heard the testimony today, so do you think there's something that's unclear or something you need to fix about the truth here?
Yes, I would like to let y'all know when I was living there, I was cleaning, I was doing everything they told me to
Thank-
do. I've been bullied. But not only that, I'm upset because just pretty much how hang on, I'm sorry. My anxiety's bad.
Let me ask you
Um,
this, Ms. Fisher, instead of you going on and on. Because really, this isn't about your grandparent or paternal grandparents right now. You left cash in the home. Do you think that's a safe place for him to be?
Wait, what?
Yes, because you don't have supervision over him.
No, I don't have to. I had to leave because
Excuse me, Mr. Odell, you don't answer for her. You've already testified, so you just sit there and be quiet.
Okay, so Ms. Fisher, I believe you've left your child with the paternal grandparents. Is that a safe place for him to be?
I had no choice because the grandma kept trying to attack me. She put her hand on me. And not only that, I was getting cornered and I was very scared for myself. And I was
Okay.
trying to get out the door and she wouldn't let me. So my
Okay.
boyfriend had to stop her and hold her back from, I guess what you would say, trying to hurt me.
Okay. Well then,
And I didn't know what to do. And then
okay.
Go ahead,
Well
Mr.
then,
Pirtle.
what I guess what's important is if you would, when you get a chance, please call my office. When you do have a residence, let me know you're a residence and your phone number, please. I pass the witness.
Mr. Albee, do you have any questions for her?
No, Your Honor. Not this
Mr.
time.
Adams,
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Lucero?
One question, Your Honor. Ms. Fisher,
Yes, ma'am.
once you left the home, was Cash safe there in the home with paternal grandparents? I know y'all have an issue, you and the paternal grandmother, but do you believe Cash is safe in that home?
Yes, I do believe he is safe, but the only comment I did not like from Cameron's mother is that she said that Carson will always be number one and not Cash, pretty much.
All right. Okay. All right. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Anyone else have further questions for Ms. Fisher? All right, then. No other witnesses then. Ms. Lucero, recommendation?
Your Honor, I just recommend that things stay as they are, that the parents drug screen today as requested, and that Cash continue to stay in the home with his paternal grandparents, and some type of visit is set up, with the parents. And that's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, then. Give me just a second here. All right, then. I will order the parents to continue working the services that have previously been ordered. I'll order both parents to both hair strand and UA drug screen by 4 p.m. today. I'm not going to make this part of the order necessarily, but Ms. Baca, someone from St. Francis and/or the department needs to check on Cash's safety today after I heard what went on last night.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I will just note this case started out as a removal, turned into a participation case, and parents have done little to barely any services in a month and a half. So I will just note for the parents, this case is on the verge of being a re-removal. So we need to get gear. No, ma'am, you've testified. I don't need to hear any more.
Okay, cool.
I want the department and St. Francis to look into whether or not this child needs to stay where he's at, or whether or not we need to place the child somewhere else. If we need an emergency hearing, notify my office and I'll get one set immediately.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Albee, you want a compliance hearing, hopefully?
Miss Karen. Wait, do you know where Miss Karen's at?
Ms. Odell, you've testified. You're interrupting our proceeding. You need to just be quiet.
No. He was just reminding me. Where's Miss Karen? Karen can let.
I just muted her because she's interrupting us.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Albee, how far out?
30 days or 20 days.
Okay. I've got April 17.
That will work, Your Honor.
Okay. We will have a compliance hearing on April 17th, 2023. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so all parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two in advance to see exactly what time on the 17th we'll have that hearing. And again, If we need to have an emergency hearing concerning where cash is going to be, notify my office and I'll set it immediately.
Yes,
Okay,
Your Honor.
thank you. We're here on an adversary hearing. Mr. Albee is with us for the department. Costa is with us. Ms. Lucero is with us representing the child. Mr. Adams is with us representing the father, Mr. Odell, who is with us. Mr. Pirtle is with us representing the mother, Ms. Fisher, who is not with us. All right.
And Judge, I've had contact with my client. I've tried to get her to come in and talk to me face to face, and she has not had time or been able to come to see me. She does have notice of this hearing.
Okay. All right. This hearing was set for 12:50. It's now 12:58. We will proceed in Ms. Fisher's absence. Mr. Albee, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would call Miss Rachel Baca. Miss Baca, you are a FBSS worker with the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services.
Yes.
How old is Cash?
He is going on 4 months.
How did you become involved with Cash and his family?
The department became involved due to signs of withdrawals when Cash was born. And so the department originally removed, and because and Cash did test, his meconium was positive for codeine and opiates. But since nobody, Miss Fisher didn't test positive for meth and Cash didn't test positive for meth, the department dismissed that case and they went for Texas Family First program for the family to participate in that program. So at that point, it came to me for the family to work services.
And did you begin or prepare a family plan of service for Cash's parents?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Did you begin preparing a plan of service for Cash's parents?
Yes, sir, I did.
Did you have an assessment with the parents prior to preparing a plan of service?
Yes, I did.
And did they participate in that assessment?
Yes, they did.
And when you prepared your family plan of service, did you go over that with the parents?
Yes, I did several times.
And did they acknowledge they understood what services needed to be worked?
At the time that I went over it, yes.
And when did you complete or prepare your plan of service?
My plan of service was done on shortly before our court hearing on January 31st. Let's see, I'm sorry, it was on January 25th.
Okay. And then on January 31st, the court ordered that the parents work that plan of service.
Yes.
And from January through March, did you attempt to get the parents to work services?
Yes, I did.
And were you successful in having them work services?
No, I was not.
Did they begin any of their services?
No, they had not until after our court hearing on March 20th.
All right. As part of the TFF program, was there an agreement that the child would be placed in the paternal grandparents' home and be supervised always by the paternal grandparents?
Yes, there was.
And we had a hearing a couple weeks ago, and at that hearing, there were some changes, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And is it your understanding that the paternal grandparents had asked Ms. Fisher to leave the home and not come back?
My understanding is she left the home and they said she could not come back.
And Mr. Odell went with Ms. Fisher when they left the home?
Yes, he did.
And have you talked with Ms. Fisher and Mr. Odell since that hearing?
Yes, I met with them that same day,
And
that afternoon.
were they able to provide you with an address where they would be residing if now that they couldn't be residing Mr. Odell's parents' home?
Are you referring to possible placement, or are you referring to just the parents?
Just the parents.
Okay. Yes, they would be staying at his brother's, or on his brother's property.
And that would be in a camper trailer.
Yes, that's correct.
But part of the problem we have is that there was some substance abuse, and so we wanted any possession of the children to be supervised, correct?
Right. That's correct.
And was there an appropriate person to supervise that visit?
No, there was not.
Have you had contact with Mr. Odell or Miss Fisher since the day of the last hearing or the day after the last hearing?
Yes, I have.
And what's their demeanor been like?
I met with them on Friday, March 22nd. They were very upset. I presented them with the removal paperwork. The order. And they were very upset. It was difficult to speak to them because they were so upset. Miss Fisher was very erratic with her behavior. She was using foul language, and I believe, I don't know if she had a panic attack or not, but I asked if we needed to call the paramedics, and she said no, and so we didn't. But they weren't behaving appropriately enough to be able to see their child.
Let me
And so they
interrupt you
didn't.
just a second. Excuse me. Miss Fisher just came into the waiting room. Let's get her in.
Connect the audio. Unmute yourself.
Mr. Odell, let me handle this. That's kind of my job.
Okay. Sorry, Your Honor.
All right. For the record, Miss Fisher, the mother has now joined us with the hearing that's already in process. Mr. Albee, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Ms. Baca, not only would it not have been safe for Cash to be placed in the care of Mr. Odell or Miss Fisher on the 22nd when you had last contact with them, it wasn't even safe for them to have visit. Would you agree with me?
That's correct.
And in your opinion, have they demonstrated an ability to provide a safe and stable home for their children at this point in time?
Not at this point.
So do you believe there's a continuing danger to Cash if he was to be placed in their home?
I do.
So are you asking then that the court continue the department as temporary managing conservator of Cash, and that Mr. Odell and Ms. Fisher be ordered to work services?
Yes, I do.
And those would be substantially the same services that the court ordered before, correct?
More than likely, but that would be up to St. Francis.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Baca. I'll pass witness, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Baca, would it also be contrary to the welfare of the child to be returned to either parent today?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Pirtle, questions?
I'd like to ask Ms. Fisher, is there anything my client can do to?
Ms. Fisher's not testifying. Ms. Baca is.
I'm sorry, Ms. Baca. Ms. Baca, is there anything my client can do right away that will help her jumpstart her services and please the department?
So since the court hearing on March 20th, I have spoken to Antonio Graves, who is with the Padre program, and he is starting to work with Miss Fisher. I have also given Miss Fisher the new caseworker's name, and I believe, I'm not certain if she has contacted them or not, but they do have her name.
Okay, I pass the witness.
Mr. Adams?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Baca, you testified earlier that in the beginning of this case, that the department was concerned about substance abuse. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Has Mr. Odell ever had a problem passing a drug test for the department?
Not with the drug test.
Okay. When you had the meeting with them after the last hearing and there was a lot of arguing going on, was Mr. Odell trying to calm things down?
Yes, he has been the calmer one and he does try to calm Miss Fisher down frequently.
Okay. Do you know where Mr. Odell is living right now?
The last that I knew, he was living on his brother's property in a camper.
Okay. If he had stable housing and a stable place for the kids, do you believe that he would be a safe and appropriate person to take care of the kids?
Not at this point, I do not.
And why is that?
Even though he tested negative on his drug test, he has appeared intoxicated on whenever I met with him on March 20th and then on March 22nd as well.
And so this is your opinion that he's appeared intoxicated? Is that all you have?
Yes.
Okay. But he has been the one that's seemed calmer and trying to keep things under control?
Yes.
Is it the department's issue that Mr. Odell wants to stay with Miss Fisher at this time?
Yes, he was, or I did ask him if he would be willing to move in with his parents to help take care of Cash. And he said he is not without Miss Fisher.
Okay, so even if, it's your position that even if they weren't together, that Mr. Odell should be supervised with the children?
I believe so, yes.
Is it your position that the primary problem is with Miss Fisher and not Mr. Odell?
I believe it's both of them. They both have things they need to work on.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Lucero?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Baca, at the time that the department moved from Texas Families First program and just to seek removal of the child was living with paternal grandparents. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And once the removal process, the case changed, the child was removed from the paternal grandparents, the Odells, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do you know how long Cash was with the paternal grandparents?
I believe he's been with them since December.
December. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time from December until March, about 3 months or so, did you have an opportunity to visit Cash there in the home with paternal grandparents?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And were they taken? Was he well taken care of?
Yes, he was.
Okay. So his needs were met. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And there was no concerns from the department or that for his safety. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, since the child was after the child was removed, have you had any further contact with paternal grandparents?
I have. Yes.
Okay. Have they advised you whether or not they would like Cash returned to them?
Yes, they have.
Okay. And you were here at the last hearing, were you not, when Ms. Fisher testified that she was okay with Cash staying with Mr. Odell's parents. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay. So as far as safety and able to take care of the of Cash, does the department have any concerns about returning or replacing Cash back with paternal grandparents?
The concerns that the department had were question about grandparents' willingness to continue to care for him. They were questioning whether or not he was Cameron's child or Mr. Odell's child, and they were wanting to do a DNA test. And if he were not their grandchild, then at first they told me they would not keep him. The second time, whenever I did pick him up, they told me that, well, Miss Salazar told me she can't give me an answer on whether or not she would want to keep him. And so there was concern there that they were not committed to taking care of the child.
And since the removal, have you had any further contact with the paternal grandparents?
after that
Yeah.
conversation?
Yes, yes.
Have they ever advised you that they're not concerned now whether or not cash is Mr. Odell's biological child, that they do want the child returned to them?
They said they do want the child returned to them. I am not certain what they would do if they got a paternity test and got the results. I can't answer to that.
And currently, Cash is in a foster home. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And is he doing well in that
Yes.
placement?
Yes, yes.
I'll pass the witness.
Anyone else have further questions for Ms. Baca?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay.
Ms. Baca, well, do you? I don't have any further questions, Your Honor. I'll pass this witness.
Anyone else?
Witness on the call.
Anyone
No
else?
further questions. No.
Ms. Baca, what city or county is the foster home in that Cash is in right now?
Amarillo, Randall County.
Okay. He testified to some negative drug tests, but in the original removal, before we tried to switch to a TFF case, the report I read said that the mother was positive for methamphetamine, opiates, and benzo and marijuana at the time of Cash's birth. Is that a correct statement?
That's correct.
And in the original affidavit, it said that the father admitted that he was abusing Xanax and marijuana with the mother. Is that a true statement?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay. Okay. If no one else has further questions, Mr. Albee, you said you have another witness.
Yeah, I would call Cameron Odell just briefly, Your Honor.
Okay.
Mr. Odell, your parents or your dad and your stepmom
Yes, sir.
have alleged that you might not be the father to Cash. Do you believe you're the father to Cash?
Yes, I do.
And you and Miss Fisher are not married, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. When Cash was born, were you at the hospital?
Yes.
Did you sign an acknowledgement of paternity at that hospital?
Yes, I did.
Okay. You understand that means you are the legal father to this child.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have questions whether or not you are the biological father to the child?
I don't, but my mother does. But I do believe the child is mine.
Okay. Judge, since Mr. Odell has admitted to signing an acknowledgement of paternity, we'd ask that you adjudicate him as the father today. I don't think that alleviates the danger concerns, but it may alleviate the concern about biological or not biological father.
Has the department found the acknowledgement of paternity?
I haven't looked, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, a lot of these parents think that the birth certificate is as good as an AOP, and we all know it's not. I tell you, I know what you're saying, Mr. Albee. I'm gonna give Mr. Odell time to talk to Mr. Adams. We can always adjudicate him at the next hearing, and then maybe the department or St. Francis can look for that acknowledgement of paternity between now and then.
I will, Your Honor. We'll pass
Okay.
this.
Okay. All right. Mr. Pirtle, did you have any questions for Mr. Odell?
No questions.
Mr. Adams? I'm sorry, not Mr. Adams. Ms. Lucero, did you have any questions?
No questions for Mr. Odell.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Adams, did you have any other witnesses?
Your Honor, that was Mr. Albee's witness, but I would go ahead and ask to be able to ask questions at this time.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Odell, where are you living at this time?
I'm living at
Mr. Odell,
412.
this is being broadcast live on YouTube. I don't think you really want to give out your address.
Oh, I'm sorry, Your
Oh.
Honor. Are you living in a house, a house?
Yes.
Is it on your brother's property?
No.
So the testimony earlier about living in a camper is not correct at this time?
No, I was living in a camper, and I found a place to live, so I moved into that place.
Okay. Are you renting it?
Correct.
Are you on the lease?
Yes.
Are you and Miss Fisher still together?
Yes.
Is she living there with you?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Odell, you've passed all your drug screens for the department, haven't you?
Yes.
Do you believe, do you have a problem with drugs at this time?
No, sir, I do not.
Do you believe that you are safe as a parent for Cash?
Yes, sir, I do.
Do you want Cash to be in your custody?
I do.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. Anyone else have questions for Mr. Odell?
Just a couple, Your Honor. Mr. Odell?
Yes, sir.
At the time of Cash's birth, do you recall admitting that you were using non-prescribed Xanax that you had bought off the street?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so the truth is, when you're asked if you've passed all of the drug screens, that's not true. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, you're cutting out.
You actually didn't pass the original drug screen that was given to you, correct?
Hello?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Mr. Odell?
Hello?
Your Honor, I'll
Hear
pass
me?
the witness.
I don't know if anybody else has further questions for him, but I don't think you're going to get to ask him because I don't think he can hear us.
I can hear you now.
All right. Mr. Alley, do you want to ask him some more?
No, I think I've got the point I needed to get across made, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have further questions for Mr. Odell?
I do have one question for Mr. Odell.
Okay.
Mr. Odell, do you have any concerns about placement of Cash back with your parents, if possible?
No, that would be perfectly fine with me.
I'll pass the witness.
Anyone else? All right, then. Mr. Odell, if the court were to do a home study on your parents and it passed and the court placed Cash back with your parents, would you abide by the court orders as far as your visitation?
Yes, sir, I would.
Meaning that you wouldn't just go over there anytime you want to see Cash just because it's your parents?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Let's see. I don't know where we were at. Mr. Albee, I think.
I'll rest, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Adams, did you have any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, I have no other witnesses.
All right. Mr. Pirtle, any witnesses?
I'd like to call my client, Ms. Fisher.
Okay.
Okay. And you're the mother of the child, correct?
Correct.
Now, I believe there's been some testimony that you have started the Padre program, correct?
Yes, sir.
Are there any other services you've started?
He told me to look for a doctor to get medication. So I did get started on that. And I do am going to NA meetings.
Okay. Super. At this point in time, do you think you're safe to have your child back with you?
Yes, I do, sir.
Are you asking the court to go ahead and give you back your child?
Yes, please.
I pass the witness.
Mr. Alley?
I don't have any questions of this witness, Your Honor.
All right. Let's see. I guess anyone else have questions for Ms. Fisher? No?
No,
All
no.
right. All right, then. Ms. Lucero, did you have any witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor. I just have my recommendation.
Okay. Ms. Baca, if you could unmute real quick, please.
Yes, sir.
In the original report, it talked about that Cash had withdrawal symptoms. Is he having any lasting withdrawal symptoms?
Not at this moment. No.
Okay. All right.
No,
Thank
he's doing better. Yes.
you. Great. All right, then, Ms. Lucero, recommendations.
Your Honor, I believe it's in Cash's best interest to name the Department of St. Francis temporary managing conservator of Cash. I would request that the court order a home study on paternal grandparents. I believe maybe there was possibly some miscommunication, whether or not he could stay there or not, but he's been there for quite a few months. He did well there. And so I would ask the court to consider placing him back in that home. And of course, for the parents to follow, as you advised Mr. Odell, to follow visitation, the same to apply to Ms. Fisher. And as far as Cash, he's doing well in the new placement. Also, placement advised that he has had some issues adjusting. He's eating well and things like that. He doesn't nap very well, but he sleeps well at night. But he has had some time, some issues adjusting to the move. But he's safe there in that home. But if we could put him with family, I believe that that'd be best. And that's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Costa, anything to add?
No, Your Honor. I agree with the ad litem.
Okay, all right. Ms. Fisher, Mr. Odell, where are y'all currently living? What city?
Pampa, Texas.
Ms. Fisher?
Pampa, Texas, sir.
Okay. Do both of you have your own transportation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Fisher?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. All right, then. Based on what I've heard, then I will continue the department's temporary managing conservator, continue Cash's current placement. I'll order both parents to hair strand and UA drug screen by 4 p.m. today at, I can't remember what's the name of the Pampa place.
Prestige.
It's Prestige.
Prestige, yeah. Order both of them to hair strand and UA drug screen by 4 p.m. today at Prestige in Pampa. And I will order an expedited home study on Katie Salazar and Keith Odell if they request it. If they say they don't want to be placement, then there's no reason to waste a home study on them. But if so, we'll order that be expedited. Okay, our next hearing in this case will be the status hearing. That will be on May 15th, 2020 status hearing. Mr. Albie's with us for the department. Casa is with us. Ms. Lucero is with us representing the child. Mr. Adams is with us representing the father, Mr. Odell, who is with us. And Mr. Pirtle is with us representing the mother, Ms. Fisher, who is with us. Mr. Pirtle is not on the screen, but he is with us. I have Yolanda Novak in the waiting room.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Novak, you're a St. Francis Ministries Pharmacy Specialist.
Correct.
Where is Cash currently placed?
In a foster home in Amarillo.
And how is he doing in that placement?
The first several weeks, he was really fussy, cried a lot, screamed a lot. Foster mom was concerned, so she took him to the doctor. Doctor thought he might have withdrawals from some kind of substance. They weren't sure. They did order a hair follicle for Cash, and we received it yesterday, and he was negative for everything. I did see him yesterday, and foster mom said that he's not crying as much. He's kind of settled in. So they were thinking maybe it was just a transition of not being with anyone he knew. He has had visits with grandparents and parents since then, and is seeming to kind of settle into placement now. He did have RSV. It wasn't a severe case. He was treated with the antibiotics, had a bit of a diaper rash because of the antibiotics, but that is clearing up. He's eating well. He sleeps well at night. So he's acclimating to new placement.
He's approximately 4 months old.
Yes.
And
sorry, just trying to do the math.
Like, his current placement is making sure that he meets all of his dental and medical appointments.
Yes, they are.
Child's mother is Chrissy Fisher. Have you had an opportunity to sit down with Miss Fisher and develop a service plan?
Yes, I have, and she has signed it.
When she signed that service plan, did she acknowledge that she understood those services?
Yes, she did.
And when you were developing that service plan, did she discuss the services with you so that if she had any objections, she could have made those?
Yes.
Did you follow the signed service plan with the court?
Yes, I did.
Cameron Odell was alleged to be the father because he and Miss Fisher are not married. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And are you aware that my office did a search for an acknowledgement and found that there was that Mr. Odell had acknowledged paternity, or his paternity of Cash when Cash was born?
Yes.
Today, are you asking that Mr. Odell be adjudicated the father based upon that acknowledgement of paternity?
Yes.
Have you sat down with Mr. Odell and developed a service plan?
Yes, I have.
And again, was he a part of your discussion when you developed that service plan?
Yes.
Did he acknowledge that he understood the services that you put in the service plan?
Yes, he did.
And did he sign the service plan?
Yes, he did.
And did the service plan, was the service plan then filed with this court?
Yes, it was.
Have Ms. Fisher and Mr. Odell began working services in their service plan?
They have attempted. From their services coming to us, they seemed a bit confused on what services they were doing for family-based services and then what is now their family plan of service with St. Francis. So I've tried to explain that the best way that I can. One of the counselors called stating they were, I sent in the request for authorization for counseling. The counselor called me and said that Cameron stated that he was already doing services. So they asked me to call Cameron and to clarify, what services he's doing. So I'm trying to help them understand from the transition from family-based services. But the only thing that both of them said that they were doing was parenting classes, and they haven't continued them as far as I know since the last time I spoke with them.
Based upon the facts as you know them in this case, have they done sufficient services to alleviate all of the reasons that the child was removed from their care?
They have not.
Especially if they're still having some difficulties understanding that there's a transition from family-based to the current situation. Is that right?
Correct.
Would you therefore say that it was unsafe to return Cash to them at this time?
Yes.
And it would be contrary to Cash's general welfare to return him to either parent today?
Yes.
Are you asking them that the court continue the department as temporary managing conservator of this child, and that the court order that each of the filed family plan and services be made an order of the court?
Yes.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pirtle.
I have no questions.
All right, Mr. Adams.
Ms. Novak, have you explained to Mr. Odell and Ms. Fisher what the department will pay for and what they have to pay for and those types of things?
Yes. When I went over their family plans of service, each of them individually, I went over all those with them.
Have they seemed like they were willing to cooperate with St. Francis?
Yes, they have cooperated. They've met with me. They've answered phone calls. I believe they're just confused on the transition of services, and I'm doing my best to help them understand that.
Okay. Can you help them make their appointments for services?
Yes, and they also have a parent support worker, Melinda Lambright, that is helping them scheduling and setting up appointments too. So we both have been trying to help them with the transition of understanding their new services.
Very good. Thank you for your testimony. No further question.
All right, thank you, Ms. Lucero.
Thank you, Ms. Nowak. Are the parents and the grandparents, are they all visiting with Cash?
Yes, they have their separate visits. Grandparents visit with Cash, and then mom and dad have their own visit with Cash.
Okay, and how often and what's the time period? I guess are the parents visiting an hour a week, or what are those visits like?
The parents are supposed to have 2 hours a week. They have rescheduled sometimes. Cameron has stated he hasn't been able to get off work, and Chrissy has not wanted to attend without him. So they've rescheduled. They've had 2 visits in May for 2 hours. And then grandparents see Cash weekly, and they have an hour each week.
Okay. And is it your understanding that the visits are going well with both parents and with the grandparents?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll pass the witness.
All right, anyone have further questions for the witness?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Novak, I read in the CASA report, they were recommending that Cash also have visits not only with the grandparents, but with a paternal sibling. I'm not sure who that is, but is that an issue? Would that be an issue?
No, he has his paternal sibling lives with grandparents. So when they visit him, they bring him with them.
All right, that answers my question. Thank you. All right, then, Mr. Allen, anything further from the department?
No, Your Honor, I'll rest.
Mr. Pirtle, any witnesses?
Your Honor, I'd like to call my client, Christy Fisher, and you understand that this used to be a family-based service case, and now it's moved into the legal side of things, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I believe Ms. Novak said she went over your family plan of service, which are the services you have to complete. Do you understand that family plan of service?
I understand the classes and everything, just not the where to go to do those things. I don't
Yeah,
know where
you
those
understand-
places are at or addresses or anything.
And if you need extra information, you understand you can ask the caseworker for extra help. And if they can't help you, you can call me, correct?
No, sir, but now I do.
Okay. And you also understand that if you're not able to do those services, the court could limit your parental rights or even terminate your parental rights.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Albee, questions?
No, Your Honor, I don't have any questions.
All right, Mr. Adams,
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Lucero.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, then, Mr. Adams, did you have any witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Lucero, any witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Lucero, recommendations?
Recommendations, Your Honor. The child's doing well in placement, so I recommend the child continue in placement there. That the department remained a temporary managing conservator of the child, and that the visits continue between the child and the parents, and the child and the grandparents.
Okay, all right, thank you. Casa, anything to add?
Nothing to add, Your Honor. We agree with Ms. Lucero.
Okay. All right, then. I will, first of all, based on the acknowledgement of paternity that was located, I will establish that parent-child relationship today. I will continue the department's temporary managing conservator, continue Cash's current placement, and I will order that both parents complete the services as contained in their service plans. Ms. Fisher and Mr. Odell, if you would both unmute for a minute, please.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Odell, if you'd remove your cap, please.
Yes, I'm sorry.
All right, I need to admonish, Mr. Pirtle hit on this, but I have to admonish you. The services that are contained in your service plans become a court order today. At a final hearing, if you have not worked those services, your parental rights could be altered or they could be terminated. Do both of you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Sir.
Okay, all right, thank you all. Okay, that will conclude this hearing. Our next hearing will be the initial permanency hearing. That will be on September 4th, 2024. We're here on a motion. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing. So Mr. Albee is with us for the department. Ms. Kincaid is with us representing the children. Mr. Adams is with us representing Ms. Young, who shows she's with us. She's not on video. Mr. Pirtle is with us representing Mr. Tollison, and I don't know whether he's with Ms. Young or not. Ms. Young, can you unmute?
Yes.
All right. Is Mr. Tollison with you or is he not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Mr. Tollison's also with us. That accounts for all the parties.
Well, Judge, both attorneys need to talk to their clients.
Okay.
We could probably talk to them together.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I'll put you all in a breakout room.
I was telling them, Judge, that in the old days, we'd all be at the courthouse and I'd be running from one room to the other room to the other room.
Yeah.
I just have you put me.
Absolutely. Once in a while, I get you in the right place too.
We had talked to Mr. Albee about a settlement kind of, and if our clients would do counseling together that was paid for by the department, then they would that would satisfy them at this time, and our clients have agreed to do that.
Okay. So we're in count. Is it counseling, individual counseling, couples counseling?
Well, Judge, we would tailor it as individual counseling at this time, but couples, if they need it to be couples counseling.
Okay. Just as if recommended by their individual counselors.
Correct.
Is that the only service you're asking the parents to complete at this time?
That's the only service we're asking that they be ordered to do at this time.
Okay. All right, Mr. Adams, you've heard, well, you've announced it. You've heard what Mr. Albee added to it. Is that your client's agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Pirtle, you've heard that. Is that your client's agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Kincaid, are you in agreement with that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, give me just a second. All right, then I will approve that agreement. I will order both parents to undergo individual counseling and possibly later couples counseling if recommended by the counselor or counselors to the parents. Excuse me. Mr. Albee, do you want a compliance hearing?
Judge, 30 days probably would be sufficient in this case.
Okay, I'll just set it for the same day as our last case. I'll set the compliance hearing in this case for April 17th, 2024. That will be by Zoom, just like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two in advance to see exactly what time on the department. Ms. Talley is with us representing CASA. Ms. Kincaid is with us representing the child. Mr. Barfield is with us representing the mother, Miss Massey, who is with us. That is all the parties. I have Mavis Apuko Asante in the waiting room. Is she your witness, Mr. Alley?
She is, Your Honor. For the record, Your Honor, at our last hearing, the court ordered a transitional monitored return and extended the dismissal date to July. So we're not proceeding on a final hearing today. If it pleases the court, we will do a review hearing as to how the monitored return is going.
That sounds fine.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mavis, you're a St. Francis Ministries permanency specialist.
Yes, sir.
And where is John currently living?
He's placed with his mother in Canadian, Texas.
And how long has he been placed in his mother's home in Canada?
Since February the 9th.
And have you been monitoring that home since John has been returned back to his mom?
Yes.
And first of all, how is John doing in the home?
He's doing wonderful. Everything is going well.
Good. We know that John has some special needs, but all of his needs are being met?
Yes. Mary is very hands-on. She takes him to the clinic. This is the second time. Yesterday was the second time he's been to the clinic since he came home, and all his medical needs are met. She ensures his medication is up to date and everything about him is up to date.
And is John currently back in school in the Canadian school system?
Yes.
And is that going well?
Yeah, that is going well.
You've already said that Miss Massey is taking care of John's needs. Are there any orders that the court needs to make today that would help Miss Massey in her care for John at this time?
I think Miss Macy is doing a wonderful job at home. She's ensuring his safety, that John doesn't escape from the house. The doors are always locked, and John doesn't have access to those keys. So she's doing everything in her power to ensure the safety of John.
And how often are you going to Canadian to monitor their home?
Weekly. And
are you going to continue that for a period of time so that we can make sure that all of John's needs are met and that Miss Massey's needs are met?
Yes, we have 2 more weeks of the weekly visits.
Okay. And is it your plan after that to start reducing the number of times that you go?
Yes, sir. Every other week.
Okay. But at this point in time, you're asking that the court continue the department as temporary managing conservator while you continue to monitor John in the home.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Barfield.
Just a couple questions, Your Honor. Ma'am, how long, if you have an idea, do you think that the monitored return is going to take approximately? I'm not going to hold it.
Okay, so monitored return, it's normally 8 weeks, and we have done 6 weeks already, so we left with 2 more weeks to go.
Okay. All right. That's all the question I have, Judge.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Kincaid.
Thank you, Your Honor. John is on some prescription medications. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And are any of those psychotropic medications?
Yes.
And to help his sleep, is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Is that being regularly monitored by a psychiatrist?
Yes.
Okay. And since John has transitioned over, Miss Massey's done a good job of making sure he's taking his medications?
Yes.
Okay. And we know that John is a bit of an adventurer. So since his return in February, have we had any issues with him absconding?
No.
Okay. And is he transitioning well to Canadian schools again? I know that he liked it when he was there before.
Yeah, he liked it so much.
Okay, good. Thank you. I'll pass witness.
All right. Anyone else have further questions for Ms. Asante?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then, Mr. Alley, did you have any other witnesses?
I do not, Your Honor. We'll rest.
Thank you. Mr. Barfield, any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Kincaid.
No witnesses, Your Honor.
Ms. Kincaid, recommendations?
It sounds like things are going well with the transition, so just continue on the track we're going.
Okay. And CASA, Ms. Talley, anything to add?
Nothing to add. We're in agreement with the ad litem. Things are going well, Your Honor.
Great. Okay. I know the CASA report has mentioned possible family therapy. I don't have a problem with that. If everyone agrees, that's would be helpful to both John and Miss Massey. So I won't put that as an order, but I'll leave it up to the parties. So, okay. Looks like I've got 2 dates that might work, or we can pick something later if I need to. I know we're going to be having court on May 15th or June 5th. I could set it either one of those.
Judge, I had talked to Haley about doing it May 15th and then
Okay.
setting the final in July before the dismissal date.
Okay, let's just do that then. Instead of calling it a final, I'll set another permanency hearing for May 15th, 2024. I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator and continue the transition monitored return of John back to his mother. Parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two before May 15th to see exactly what time we'll have that permanency hearing. So, okay, I believe this was our last case of the day. So we will stand in recess. Everybody have a good rest of your week and have a good weekend.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank y'all. Thanks, Amy.
Thanks, Judge. I'll see you Friday.
All right. See you then.